Do you ever wonder what a loan officer does? What exactly is a mortgage loan officer? I'm going to talk about that in today's video and really break down the value and the importance of working with a good loan officer. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the importance of a loan officer, what we do, and why working with somebody that understands the business, that is reputable, knows what they're doing, is super important. So let's start from the top. When you meet a loan officer, one of the first things that they're going to help you with is get pre-approved. The pre-approval, in my opinion, is probably the most important step in the entire buying process. Now, if you're a cash buyer, this doesn't apply to you. You've got the cash to pay for a home. By all means, more power to you. But for most people out there, you're gonna need some sort of financing. A lot of people like shopping for the home first before getting qualified. And that's completely backwards because you don't know what your budget is. You don't know what it's gonna take to purchase a home. You have no idea where you stand financing wise. And it's just a complete waste of time. The proper way to go about it is getting with a lender to get qualified first. What we do as a lender is look at your credit, right? We're gonna make sure that there's no inaccuracies on your credit report. So many people have no idea that sometimes you have collections from maybe 5 years ago that's still showing up that you thought you paid, but yet they're still saying that you haven't paid them. Or you have, I've seen instances, maybe even a wrong social on a credit report, a wrong name. All these things show up that we can try to help you get cleared up. We're gonna look at your debt. We're gonna then review your income, right? We're gonna see, what do you make? What can you potentially qualify for? Even if you can qualify for a higher mortgage payment, is that what you wanna pay? What are you comfortable paying? So we really dive deep into your finances to figure out what is the best mortgage strategy, the best mortgage program that we can align you with, because this is gonna be the biggest purchase, the biggest debt that you're gonna take on in your entire life. So we shop around for cars like crazy, but for a mortgage, we have no idea what we're getting into. And we're not necessarily looking to build that relationship with a lender and really understand the ins and outs of the mortgage, how it works, what are the pitfalls. All we care about is what's the lowest rate? What's the lowest rate? Who's gonna give me the best rate? But I'm gonna give you a couple other things to think about when you're shopping for your mortgage. Now, the flip side to someone doing a proper pre-approval is you see a lot of these online lenders, right? It's really attractive when they say, call now to get qualified, or click a button to get approved today. And you don't have to send in any paperwork. They literally take your information over the phone, and then they say, hey, you're pre-approved, go buy a house. They haven't verified anything. Doesn't that worry you? The fact that you're about to buy a $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 house, and the other guy on the other end, just off the phone or maybe off of a website, hasn't even verified anything that you've given him? They don't know what you make. They don't even know what's on your tax returns. If you're self-employed, do you know what your net was? Did you have a loss? All these things literally come up in a pre-approval that when done properly, we ask those questions. We're gonna know what to look for. We're gonna look for any pitfalls that could affect you in underwriting. And if we fail to do that, we failed you as a consumer and as a buyer and a real estate agent as well, because everyone puts their time and their effort. We get emotionally involved and tied to the house, right? You envision your kids there. You envision yourself waking up, going into the kitchen, making coffee, having dinner with your spouse. All these things run through our heads as we're purchasing a home. Guidelines change constantly. So you as the consumer, when you're filling out the loan application and you're not talking to the lender, you don't know how to fill that thing out properly. You can do the best that you can, but some of these questions you might be unfamiliar of. I have clients all the time that ask me, what's the difference between gross income and net income, right? Just simple things like that, that if you didn't understand the difference and you put your net when we're looking for gross, and you never talk to the loan officer, bad information in leads to bad information coming out, right? So that's why talking with a loan officer who truly understands the business, knows guidelines, because guidelines change constantly. Investors change their mind about certain programs, and now that certain credit score doesn't work. Or maybe that certain debt to income ratio that worked 2 months ago is no longer relevant today. All of these things are things that as a loan officer you have to be aware of. So you have to be constantly knowing what the new guidelines are, how does that affect the buyer, either for the better or for the worse. And you have to be able to convey that and explain that to them, because that's part of our job. The pre-approval is the most important part, because once we get you qualified and you understand your numbers, now you can shop for a home. Because now you understand that as I'm looking at a $300,000 house, I know how much money I need to put down. I know what my potential mortgage payment is going to look like. And you have all these numbers, so you can then feel less stressed as you're shopping for your home, because this is a fun process at the end of the day. But you want to make sure you cross your T's and dot your I's up front, right? You do all the legwork up front. I feel that the pre-approval is probably 80% of all the heavy lifting that you're going to do when you buy a house. After that is all fun and games. It's shopping for a home. And once you're in contract, if you've done all your homework up front with your lender, the closing should be a breeze. Now, another thing I want to bring up as a mortgage loan officer is the $1 million question that we get asked every single day. What's your rate? What's your rate? Because so many people are conditioned by social media, by their real estate agent, that the best lender is solely dependent upon who's got the lowest interest rate. But I completely disagree with that, because more often than not, a lot of the online lenders, they're gonna be the cheapest in town. And there's a reason for that. That's their business model. It's just like if you're looking to buy a car, if you want the cheapest car, you're gonna go to the used car lot, probably the salvage lot, and try to find something cheap. That's what you're getting. You're getting cheap service, because at the end of the day, any other retail mortgage loan officer, our rates are probably gonna be a little higher, right? But like myself and some other guys, that I know at other companies, they've been doing this for a long time. They know a lot about mortgages. They know a lot about guidelines, how to structure loans, how to put you into the right loan. For example, I had an investor that I worked with. He wanted to put 20% down for a vacation home that he was going to buy his daughter. But I asked him, I was like, why are you putting 20% down? He's like, well, I don't want to pay mortgage insurance. I go, well, you can go with 10% down, not pay mortgage insurance, and you can still get a good rate, and I'm gonna save you, it was about $20,000 in terms of down payment money. So I showed him the two differences, 10% down, 20% down. The 10% down option is what he went with. And I literally saved this dude $20,000 up front that he would have just sunk into this apartment that his daughter was gonna live in. So it's strategies, just simple stuff like that, that a good loan officer is gonna be able to structure a deal and show that to you. Now, you might get a better interest rate online, but is that guy gonna really break down options for you and show you how your money works and how you can better set yourself up for the right mortgage program? Probably not. But again, anything that's worthwhile, you probably have to pay for. So that's where a good lender is super important, because the interest rate does play a factor. Don't get me wrong. We all want the best rate. Even when I refinance my house and I go and buy investment properties, I want the best rate. But at the same time, one of the most important things that people never ask is, can you close on time? That is probably another question that if you're shopping for a home, you should ask your lender, because everyone's busy right now, right? We're at record low rates. There's no inventory. People are buying. They're coming out of the woodworks to purchase homes today. But if your lender gave you the best interest rate and you couldn't close on time, is that worth it? No, it's not, because if the seller doesn't extend your contract, you can lose your earnest money deposit, right? Which could be thousands of dollars. If you're a first-time home buyer and you're strapped for cash, what if you have $3,000 in there and that's the bulk of your cash that you have? You're screwed. You're not gonna be able to buy another house, because that seller could be entitled to your earnest money if you fail to perform based on the contract. But again, We're not asking those questions because we're so caught up on the interest rate, yet closing on time is probably just as important, if not more important, than the interest rate. So if you're shopping around, ask your lender, can you close on time? What is your average time to close a transaction? If they can't tell you that, I'd find someone else to work with, because as a loan officer, you're managing the entire pipeline. You're managing the entire process from pre-approval to funding and closing. You've got to know how long it takes you to get from point A to point B. And if they can't answer that question, I definitely find somebody else who does know that answer, because that's going to be the key to your success into getting into a home. Another key piece to being a loan officer is being clear and honest with your clients. And you might say, yeah, Sean, that's pretty obvious. But in this business, it's really not, because a lot of times, again, if you're working with a lender that you have no relationship with, you don't know who they are, you might have found them online, or there's some online lender, how long have they been in business? Are you able to look that up? Do you know? Do they have any referrals that they can send to you that maybe you got referred to them? Again, they might have the best rate, but what kind of service are you going to get? And as a loan officer, we're here to protect you as the home buyer, because we want to make sure that you're in the right loan. So that way, at the end of the day, yeah, I want your referrals. I want you to say, Sean did an amazing job. His team is fantastic to work with. I want to send my friends, my family, my coworkers to use you as their lender. That is our number one goal. We want to make sure we leave you satisfied 100% of the time. And part of that is us being honest, right? Like I mentioned. So when we do a pre-approval, we're not looking at your file to figure out ways of telling you you can't buy a house, right? Because sometimes we do have to have that difficult conversation and say, hey, look, Johnny, you need to fix your credit, right? You need to enroll in this credit repair program. I'm going to follow up with you in 90 days. If you do what they say, we should be able to buy. But sometimes I feel that buyers, they want to hear what they want to hear. So when I tell you that you're not qualified due to X and X reason, you go shop and find another lender that's going to tell you what you want to hear. And they might do a crappy job on a pre-approval, right? Based on the information that you gave them. And remember, garbage in, garbage out. So if you're giving them half the story, and if they do a pre-approval just based on what you told them and not really doing their homework, and they give you a pre-approval letter to go shopping, guess what's gonna happen? Your deal's gonna fall apart. And then what's gonna happen? You're gonna have to come back to me or to your lender, and hopefully they can save the deal. And I can tell you this happens far too often, because I get a lot of fallout deals from other lenders, especially online guys, or some of our clients that said, you know what, I'm gonna go somewhere else, and then they come back because now they know that what I told them up front was accurate and it was true. Guys, so don't take it personal. If your lender says that you need to work on your credit, or maybe you need a co-signer, or maybe we need to pay down some debt, some of these things have to happen in order for you to purchase, right? So it's not necessarily about that we don't want to do a loan. It's we need to take certain steps in order to put you into a place to be successful. So our job as a lender is not really to be buddy-buddy with you, even though that usually happens. We're there to kind of be, the angel on your shoulder saying, hey, you have to do these certain things in order to become a homeowner, because once we go into underwriting, I know they're gonna ask for certain statements. I know they're gonna ask for proof of this. I know they're gonna look at your credit, and we're gonna have to address maybe this derogatory that came up. So there's all these things that as a loan officer, we have to look out for. And again, we're here to protect you. We're here to make sure that when we say yes and we give you that pre-approval letter, you can go shopping with 100% confidence, knowing that you can make an offer on your home and that loan is good to go. And another thing to think about, the value of the loan officer, the importance of the loan officer is not based on the number of years that someone's been in business. Because there's a lot of guys that have been in business for a long time that might do a couple of deals a month. Yeah, a couple of deals a month. There's some high producing teams out there that do hundreds of loans a month, right? So these guys are seeing tons of deals come across their desk, and it's like anything else, right? If you're working out, or like I played basketball growing up, how do you get a better shot? through more repetition. More repetition, you get better at your skill. Just like in this job. If I'm seeing 10 times the amount of deals that come through my desk than the next guy, you better believe I'm 10 times better than him. As a loan officer, you don't want to be in a position where you're only closing one deal a month because you're just not talking to enough people. You're not going to see as many scenarios. And I can tell you, there are a ton of scenarios that come across my desk that I have never seen in 15 years of doing this. So the more volume you come across, the better you get. The sharper you can keep your sword every single day and go to battle, because you know that you just came across the newest update on the guideline and you know how to explain that to the customer, or you know that, hey, a guideline is going to change in the future and we need to make sure your deal's done by a certain time frame. So being a loan officer is super important. You wear multiple hats. It's not just sitting here making videos for you guys. It's being there for the customer from start to finish, right? This, like I said, this is going to be the biggest purchase that you're going to make, the biggest amount of debt that you're going to take on, unless maybe you go to college and now you got a couple $100,000 worth of college debt. But as a home, some people buy one house in their entire lifetime. So make it the right purchase, understand what you're getting into, know how to manage the debt, because there's so many people that they get into the wrong investment and then it hurts them in the future. You don't want to be that person. And last but not least, the value of the loan officer is we literally have to manage the entire process, from pre-approval to getting your loan qualified, to getting it through underwriting, to making sure that your loan funds and we meet the contract date. As a loan officer, we have so much responsibility, from communicating to you as the buyer, to the title company, to the real estate agent, and sometimes attorneys that get involved. So there's probably 4 or 5 different people that all get involved just to make sure that your loan closes on time, let alone the team that we have behind us, right? We have processors, we have underwriters, we have openers, we have funders, we have all of these people that are literally behind the scenes on our team that are constantly working to make sure that we can get your loan done on time. So you're literally managing an army of people to make sure that you, just Mr. One customer, closes your loan on time. Now, that's just in a nutshell what we do. I could go on and on about more of the stuff that we handle, but those are some of the things that to me value as a loan officer. So as you guys are shopping out there, you know, the biggest thing to me is, can you get along with this person? Are they responsive? Like I said, can they close your loan on time, right? Are there reviews? Don't just base your decision purely off of interest rate. Because like I said, if you're gonna chase the interest rate, I guarantee you can probably find a better rate somewhere else. But you know, if you want strategy, value, responsiveness, and all that good stuff that to me that matters, especially when you need strategy in the mortgage industry, and as volatile as the market has been lately, you kind of want someone by your side, in your corner, knowing that they're gonna answer their phone, they got your back, and they're going to be honest, and they're going to get your deal done on time and with the least amount of stress as possible. So those are just some of the things of why I feel a loan officer is super important. It's super valuable to the entire transaction. I hope this helps you understand a little bit more about the mortgage industry, what we do, how we can help you with your home purchase or refinance. If you guys have specific questions, or maybe you're thinking about getting into the business, drop a comment below, send me a message. I love to hear from you guys. Love answering all your questions. And as always, I appreciate the love, appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next one.